Before we get into the video, just want to let you guys know I still have some of the Foxfire Ari codes to give away. These codes are going to give away the Champion Ari if you do not already own her, as well as the updated Foxfire Ari skin. And last but not least is going to be the green chroma. This is a chroma that's not yet available in the in-game store. This is the only way you can get it. So if you guys would like a chance to win all of this, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and comment the keyword Yuumi in the comment section below. Anyways, let's get into the rework now. And before we get into the abilities themselves, I want to first go over these kind of comments down here that Matt, who works for Riot, left for us. And this is kind of breaking down the direction they were going with Yuumi, the reason for the rework, and overall what they were trying to fix. I'll kind of summarize these first three tweets up here. He's basically just saying that Yuumi was frustrating to play up against, not only in solo queue, but he's also been terrorizing pro play for a while. So their main goal was to just make her overall less prominent in pro play, but also just less frustrating to play up against. And the way that they're targeting that is by these four things. First things first, they are making her Q more dodgeable. Her healing is going to be tied to laning her Q. Her ultimate is no longer going to be able to root. And now she has a best friend. So I'll go over kind of what all this means. It's kind of all tied into the abilities. So let's go back up here and let's get started. First things first is going to be Yuumi's passive. And there's two big things to look at as far as changes go in the passive. The first of which is kind of a smaller thing, but they are flip-flopping her healing and her shielding. So before, her passive granted her a heal. Anytime it was up, you would kind of just pop off your ally. You'd walk up, you'd auto-attack somebody, you get a shield, and then you go back on your ally. This is a kind of a very unhealthy mechanic for the game, especially since Yuumi's a champion who is intended to be attached more times than not, and the direction that they're going with their kit, she will be spending even more time attached. But as a champion who's supposed to be attached, and a champion who has really low base HP, she's not supposed to be able to trade with people. But with her previous passive, you saw a lot of Yuumi players just level 1 starting E. They would walk up, immediately start trading with anybody, and just by using their auto attacks, by getting a shield from their passive, and by proccing their E, just you press E and you get a heal, all this combined, she was actually able to out-trade most people. So getting rid of that simple to use shield where you just right-click somebody, auto-attack them one time, you get a shield, getting rid of that is going to be a healthy change for the game. And as far as flip-flopping the shielding and the healing, we'll go over that more later when we go over her E. But I think that's overall really healthy change for the game. The bigger factor here when it comes to the change in Yuumi's passive is now you have something called friendship and you have something called a best friend. So while attached, Yuumi is going to build friendship with whenever her ally kills champions and minions. Each ally will have their own unique friendship score, and whoever has the highest score will be her best friend. This is going to help with a lot of the frustration around Yuumi, because in the past, even if Yuumi was set behind, even if her ADC was set behind, she could still be really impactful because she would just go over to whoever was strong on her team and play around them. Whether it was, top lane that was winning on her team and it was a Fed Wukong, or a Kali one as the mid lane matchup, or she had a Fed Hecarim on her team. Even if she lost lane, even if her ADC was behind, even if she was behind, she could just walk over to whoever was Fed on her team, play around them, make them really strong, and snowball the game. So it was really hard to play around because your whole goal when it comes to beating Yuumi is to beat her in lane, but it didn't matter in the past. Now it will, because of this friendship and the fact that she's going to kind of have to play with her ADC for the entirety of the game. Yes, you can technically get a higher friendship and have someone else on your team be your best friend to get these unique passives and stuff like that. But because of how much time you're spending with your ADC to start the game, you're going to have to spend an insane amount of time later in the game in order to overcome that friendship score. So this is going to make it so that she has to play around her ADC. If you beat Yuumi in lane, you should be able to beat her in the game. She can't just go over to whoever's fed on her team and help snowball the game elsewhere. So I think this is overall a really, really good change to Yuumi's kit. I think the friendship and the best friend aspect is really good. The flip-flop of the heal and shield is also really good, but we'll go over that when we get to her E. Up next is going to be Yuumi's Q. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the main thing that they're changing here is the frustration to not be able to dodge this ability. I was actually one of the people that was fortunate enough to play test Yuumi when she was originally coming out a few years ago. And when I played Yuumi for the first time, I could not believe that this ability was in the game because there was nothing like it. There still is nothing like it. An ability that is so incredibly easy to land because all you have to do is drag your mouse and it will follow your mouse. It still has that same mechanic, but it is a little bit less frustrating to play up against because now you're only going to be able to control the missile for a short period of time. So this is going to get rid of some of the frustration, not all of it. I think they are keeping this mechanic because they still want Yuumi to feel like Yuumi. And on top of that, they've also said multiple times that they want Yuumi to be a champion that newer players can learn, and be able to control your ability with your mouse is going to make your ability a lot easier to land, obviously. So it gives a little bit of leeway for newer players. They don't have to go into games and use like really difficult skill shots to begin. So still some of the frustration will be there, but overall a really good healthy change. Up next is going to be Yuumi's W, and I absolutely love the change that they did here. The biggest thing is they removed Adaptive Force to Yuumi's ally. If you guys aren't familiar with what Adaptive Force is, in simplest terms, it just means you are making someone stronger just by being attached to them as Yuumi. Did not matter how far behind you were, you get on top of them, they are now stronger. And it takes a lot of the strength out of the Yuumi player and puts it all into the person that Yuumi's attached to. And a lot of the changes that they're doing to this kit are going to put a lot more of the power into the Yuumi player, which I really enjoy. I think that's a really healthy change. It's going to make it so that Yuumi can't just be really brainless and attached to someone, spam E, land Qs for free. She now has to actually do things on her own. So now a lot of the strength is going to be in the Yuumi, because instead of just attaching and making them stronger by granting Adaptive Force, now it's going to increase Yuumi's healing and shielding power to the person that she's attached to if they are her best friend. So now Yuumi's actually going to have to do a little bit of damage to proc her passive to heal. She's also going to have to time her shields a little bit better, which leads me into her next ability, which is her E. It's kind of the same ability as before, except instead of a shield, now it's a heal. Overall, I think it's still a healthy change, because instead of just pressing E and getting a heal, now she has to jump off, do auto attacks or land abilities to get heals for her passive. And now her shield, I think just overall shielding is probably healthier for the game than healing, because a heal is health that you never lose, right? If you heal someone, it's there. A shield, you have to actually be a little bit smarter when it comes to using this ability, because you have to time it in order to negate damage. You can't just shield whenever. Like before, you could just heal whenever you wanted to as Yuumi, right? Now you actually have to be a little bit smarter, try to time your shields. Overall, again, I keep saying this, but really, really healthy changes for the game. And I think they're overall just doing a really good job of keeping Yuumi's kit the same, but changing it to be a little bit better for the current state of the game. I think people are going to be less frustrated playing up against Yuumi, but older Yuumi players are still going to really appreciate her kit because it still feels really similar. The last thing they're changing is going to be Yuumi's R. Going back to what we saw earlier, they wanted to get rid of the root because the root was really annoying and frustrating to play up against. Honestly, anytime someone engaged like a Fed Wukong or a Hecarim, again, I'll use those examples. If they engage, it's really easy to follow that up by just pressing R as Yuumi. You're going to, more times than not, land 3 of your waves, so you get that root, and more times than not, people die due to this combo. So they do still have that same mechanic. It is still the 5 waves, but now there is healing as well as damage and slowing. So not only can your ult be used to used on the enemy, but you can also use it on your allies. And the best change of all when it comes to this ultimate is now Yuumi can actually control the wave. She can steer the waves to follow her mouse. So again, putting a lot more of the strength into the Yuumi player rather than the person that Yuumi is attached to. Before, you can direct it one direction, but then it was up to the person you were attached to make sure they utilize the direction it was going. Now Yuumi can steer it herself. She can choose to heal. She can choose to damage and slow. Overall, really, really healthy change. Love what we're seeing here. And I think that is going to wrap up all the changes to the Yuumi rework. Again, I think this is really, really good for the game. I think they're going to accomplish everything that they wanted to accomplish. I'm really excited to see this. And I hope that you guys are excited to see this as well. But for the most part, we're just going to have to wait to see when she hits live servers how these changes actually work. Is she going to still be really frustrating to play against? Is she going to be dead like she is right now with a 42% win rate? Is she going to skyrocket up to 50% or higher? Is she going to be relevant in pro play? We'll just have to see. My best guess is that this is going to be a good direction for Yuumi, and I think that these changes are going to work out for the best. But anyways, that is going to do it for this video. Again, if you guys have not already and you guys want to enter the giveaway for the Foxfire RE code, comment down below the keyword Yuumi. Make sure you leave a like on the video and make sure you are subscribed. But that'll do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.